Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the FC, and it's a beautiful day, so we got the garage door open. So the plan for the FC today is going to be pulling all the components off, start sanding, and then we're going to pull the engine and transmission and all the other components in the engine bay. So all this has to come out, obviously, and we'll get it ready for paint. Should make for a long and tedious project, but it should be satisfying at the end, so we'll try to knock this out relatively quickly. Alright, so I'll show you the progress so far. We got a lot of this back here sanded. It's probably tough to see in this light, but I got a lot of it sanded. We hit it with the wire wheel, get a lot of the sound deadening off. There's still a lot of cleanup left to do on that. We got this side primarily done. We got to go over it with a sander and get the rest of the sound deadening and stuff. I just wanted to get the bulk of it off with the wire wheel, and then I'll fine tune it with the sander and stuff. I still got to do that side of the tunnel on the driver's side and clean all that up, but we're making some headway. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hang out with my buddy Isaiah, and I'm really going to borrow his cherry picker and bring it over, so that way I can start pulling the engine. So we'll get that. All right, so we went and got the engine hoist from Isaiah, but for right now we're not going to probably work on that, pulling the engine or anything like that. There's something else I kind of want to do before. So one of the things is, you guys have probably seen it before, some nice cage gussets that go from this A-pillar bar up to the A-pillar. I want to put in some of those. I got some dimple dies and stuff that I'd, want to try out. Never done this before, so I'm excited to do it. I always think it looks badass. So I want to put one in the front here, and then one also on the back to make this kind of flat as well. So the windshield has to come out. So I went to Harbor Freight and I picked up a windshield removal tool. Oh, I've never used this one before, but I'm interested in trying. And then I've used this one before. It's not bad, but we'll give both of them a try and see which one works best. This one was like 10 bucks and this one was 16, so hopefully this one, we'll figure out which one works. We also went to the local steel place, picked up some 14 gauge sheet metal. I had them cut it for me so it's nice and square. So it's at 3.5 inches. So this should go onto the cage pretty well. We just have to trim it to the length that we want, and then we'll do the dimple dies, well, the knockouts, then the dimple dies. It's pretty thick stuff, I think, for a knockout, but we'll give it a shot. So let's get working on getting that windshield out so we can start prepping. So glad that this is an aluminum hood. Alright, so one of the challenges is going to be trying to get this trim out without damaging it too bad. It's not in the best condition, but I'd like to keep it as much as possible. So we're going to try to get that out first. I think you got to take this weather stripping. Oh, there's screws. That'll make it easier. it, hopefully. Get that rotor brake loose. There we go. I'll just work it. So it's coming off a little bit easier than the last one did. I don't want to pry against the glass. Reason being is I'm trying to practice how to get a window out without damaging it. I know there's already a crack in it, so it's not a big deal. I have another chassis that has a good windshield in it, and I'm probably gonna have to be the one to go take it out to save a little bit of money on getting a new windshield put in. I probably won't do the installation, I'll probably pay somebody to do it, but yeah, I'd like to practice getting it out. All right, so on the wire, you basically take the feeder, and there's a little groove on the tip, and you throw the wire in there, like so. It's like a needle, kind of like threading a needle. And then what you're gonna do is in that groove that we already created, I'm gonna push the wire through. There we go. Get it onto the other side. Now I have used these in the past, so I know they work decent. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert at this whatsoever, so I've done it about once or twice, and we're just gonna lock. Wow, that is so much faster and easier. Wow. All right, so I got the windshield out. I cracked it in a few spots getting it out, and it was only right here at the end, and it's when I started using this pile of crap. So I don't think on the next window I'll be using anything like this. I'll probably use the string or the wire and run it back and forth, and a razor blade. A good razor blade did quite a bit of work actually, but it was like right when I got to about here on the window, it fucking cracked. When I was trying to go this way, so I kind of like pried against it on accident, and then it was just a crack fest after that. So hopefully I can get the next one out without doing that. But now we're gonna get ready to start prepping this to put in the gussets. All right, so first things first, I'm probably gonna cut these down to the size so I can start kind of test fitting them in there and kind of get a rough estimate of where they're gonna sit. I'm probably gonna cut them at I'm gonna cut them at 25.5 inches and then see what it looks like after that. They're too long to go in there now. So basically need to cut some corners a little bit. All right, so now we're gonna see if we can get knockout and the dimple die to work on this thick of metal. I'm hoping so. We know our center line, and then we need to know what our spacing needs to be from there to there. So it's every 2 inches. So 1.5 inches, 3.5, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5, 11.5, odd numbers and a half, basically all the way down. 15.5. So I'm really hoping this works. How it works. it did work. All right, so it did work for the most part. It's a little bit thick for the tools that I have here, but so let's kind of look at it real quick. So I got this to dimple die and cut, so I'm happy with that, but I can't dimple die it too much because basically I'm using a bolt to like crush it together to make the dimple. Now Isaiah has a press, so I'm probably gonna finish all these holes out all the way down, and same with all the other plates, and get them all fitted, and then I'll take them to his house and press them all the way in, and actually use a hydraulic press. It'll probably come out cleaner, and so we'll get working on the rest of it, and then we'll dimple die the rest of it at Isaiah's house. So pretty much this is what it's gonna look like. There's some fine tuning left to do on it, and then we'll tune up these holes and get them pressed, but I think that looks pretty dang good. There's some massaging that need to be done, but I like it. I like it a lot. So big shout out to Isaiah. Went over there, used his hydraulic press, pressed and dimple dyed all 4 of these. So now we just need to just massage and fit them in. This one should be good to go in. So we can probably start tacking that up and getting it ready. All right, so here's pretty much the finished product. It's not my best work, definitely, but it's not my worst. I had to change out some wires, so my wire feed got messed up, and then I started welding, and I was like, what the hell? I wasn't welding right. I was getting these really cold welds, and my wire speed was turned all the way up, and then I needed to turn it down about halfway, and then it started welding a lot better. So we'll move on to the back piece and get that fitted in and get it tacked up as well. All right, so I'd say overall I'm pretty happy with the way it came out on this side. I wish I would have had my welder a little bit more tuned up before I started. Lesson learned. Try to do that before you get into it too much. So, well, I did have it tuned up. I just changed the wire, but just make sure that your settings are good. I think that looks pretty good, man. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. Overall, this is the first time I've ever done cage gussets, so I feel like I did a decent enough job. All right, so jumped a little ahead, got a little bit farther on the car, so I got the doors off of it now, and I took out the steering column and the pedal assembly. Got most of it sanded. There's some more to do. I still need to do some cleanup and start getting it clean, but we're done with that for now. What we're gonna do is move on to getting the engine and transmission and all this out, so we can start prepping the bay as well. So let's get working on that. All right, so we got the engine hoist assembled. We got the leveler thing on there. Never used one of those before. Usually I just do it old school with like an old seat belt or something like that out of a car. So interested in trying this. So yeah, we'll start trying to pull the motor out. The transmission cross members loosened up. I haven't done the engine mounts yet. We'll get those loosened up real quick. All right, guys, the engine is out. So came out relatively easy. Only had like one zip tie, hold it up. But other than that, so I'm gonna clean up the shop, get ready for the next step in the process. So I think that's gonna do it for this episode. So on the next episode, we'll get the engine bay all cleaned up, get everything out of there, start taking off the front suspension and the cross member and all that, and do some fab work on the front. I want to make a core support, still mulling that around in my head, figuring out how I'm going to pull that off and how I want it to look. Anyways, we'll get everything out, start prepping it for paint. Yeah, hopefully we can knock out the paint process fairly quickly and get back to the reassembly and get this thing ready. Got about a month and a half until this thing needs to be ready. So it's crunch time and we have a long ways to go. Obviously, we're going backwards, but you got to go backwards to go forward. So, all right, guys. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.